Hello and welcome to my latest podcast. When I travel, like many others, I pay my own way. I ask no favours or for special treatments. I owe nothing to no one, and they, whoever they may be, owe nothing to me. What you see is what you get. Someone who has always enjoyed travelling from a very young age, and someone who believes in fair play and justice in our daily consumer lives. Imagine how I feel at this moment in time when I read an ever-decreasing number of newspaper or magazine articles on consumer travel because of the impact on our ability to get away. Those that do comment provide a frenzied look into faraway destinations because you might be able to travel there, but fail to realise that for the vast majority of the British public, travelling such distances are beyond their pockets. Then there are those who unrealistically flash up the latest travel deals and cut prices against the uncertainty found in many countries. Some go as far as to get themselves on that first flight and whiz around with great literary bravado, trying to persuade you perhaps that it is safe to fly, failing perhaps to realise that recent proclamations have been timely contradicted by a recent report from Eurosurveillance. For me, the issue is simple, and it's based around one word: pandemic. The word connotes to the world at large that something is amiss, and that we should take steps to stop this dreadful virus in its tracks. I can assure you that this travel commentator, with the exception of days out and one long weekend staycation, that my passport has stayed firmly in its wallet. If anyone reads, follows or acts on what I say, I believe that it is important to them that I lead by example. So I've stayed at home. Believe me, I am as frustrated as you, for I would rather be jetting, sailing or driving to new and exciting destinations, either on a holiday or to complete some of my projects. But it is what it is, and we should do all that we can to control our consumer impulses, not just for our own personal benefit, but for everyone around us. Now, that is not to say that I don't have great sincere sympathy for the travel industry. Their loss is not a happy one against the indifference of the UK government. It is leading, and I say this with deep regret, to many companies going out of business and many people who will lose their jobs. Since February-March of this year, I have had plenty to say about this in support of this industry. Regardless, I don't see too much general commentary in favour of them, and what I do see fails to bring into the minds of their readers the sense of panic and urgency to this problem. Most journalistic articles are too busy fantasising about the travels to come. In the same way, little is spoken about the plight of many holidaymakers and air passengers still waiting for their refunds. I am one of them. Instead, we hear from people who should know better that no consumer has been left behind, when the reality suggests otherwise. In truth, my fellow travel commentators are all looking in the wrong direction. They are failing to read the runes, because that will tell them what we should expect to see in the future, thus developing their commentary on managing consumer expectations. Why, it was only the other day that Eurocontrol, the Pan-European Air Traffic Control Centre, issued their projections about how quickly air travel could recover to its 2019 levels if a vaccine was produced and made available. The results were in some ways quite surprising. In their first scenario, they suggested that if a vaccine was available in 2021, then it would take until 2024 to achieve a full 2019 air traffic recovery. In scenario 2, they offered that if a vaccine is available by 2022, then 2019 full air traffic recovery levels would not be achieved until 2026. And their third and final scenario suggests that if any vaccine produced and offered was not proven to be effective, then a recovery to 2019 levels of air traffic would not be achieved until 2029. So the outlook toward a 2019 air traffic recovery ranges from anywhere between 4 and 9 years. Now remember, airlines and aircraft manufacturers have already carried out their own analysis and acted accordingly. Since March 2020, airlines have taken whole fleets out of service, with some aircraft types being retired. Airlines are also delaying deliveries of new aircraft and in many cases actually cancelling orders for new aircraft. When others have been looking to governments, I've directed my gaze toward the airlines and the general aviation industry. They are the barometer of travel. The same could be said for cruise companies. Into this mix, the news broke yesterday that a potential vaccine was producing protection from the virus of up to 90%. The excitement in the British press this morning was more than palpable, and perhaps not managing public expectations very well. If you thought the mechanics and logistics of COVID-19 was difficult, imagine trying to inoculate the world's population. It's not going to be quick nor instantaneous. Now, if you excuse the pun, the travel industry will see this development as a shot in the arm, the panacea to all their ills. But recovery in travel will depend not just on how quickly the UK inoculates, twice it seems, most of the British public, but also how quickly and safely other countries will do so. An important thing to remember is this: consumers will face a new barrier in this new COVID age. In my opinion, receiving countries will abandon the requirement for testing to secure entry. They will be looking for confirmation that you have been inoculated twice. Borders will become depositories of proof and truth, and unfortunately, not trust. We are all going to have to adapt. But you know, for UK citizens, adaptation also comes in the form of the glorious full Brexit to come. I have gone well past the point about leave and remain. The issue is not now about the claims of a flawed democracy. It's about common sense and facing up to the reality to come. Unfortunately, for many media outlets, when I privately speak with them about a story up next, we sometimes touch on the B word. When I speak with some producers, you can feel them shake and quiver in fear about what you would say and something that perhaps would upset their listeners. What have we done to ourselves, I wonder? Well, with that said, I think it's important to be realistic with holidaymakers about their prospects in this post-Brexit, post-COVID world. So, here is my list of things to look out for, and so consumers should expect that less choice will be available simply because of the reduced schedules that we offered by airlines and travel companies for the foreseeable future. Less choice will mean that you may have to pay a higher premium for that holiday. So I've worked out an example which I used during the Brexit referendum campaign. So for example, I took an imaginary family of 4 consisting of 2 adults and 2 children, booking their 2-week all-inclusive holiday to Spain and receiving a free child place. And they may have been expected to pay around £2,000 for their holiday prior to the EU referendum in 2016. Secondly, one of the key factors to the cost that consumers will pay will be dependent on the rate of exchange between the pound and other currencies. So after the vote in 2016, The value of the pound fell by around 20%, recovering to a level of 15% below a June 2016 value. However, as January 2021 approaches and the likelihood of a no deal or an expected extremely weak deal arises, I would suggest that confidence in the pound will fall back to around 20% below the pre-referendum level. So this means that for this family of four, they will have to pay an extra £400 for the same 2016 holiday, just based on that 20% currency fluctuation. Then there is the COVID premium, which, let's just say, adds another 5% to the cost, adding another £120, delivering a bill to our family for their holiday of £2,520. Now, our family will need some spending money so that they can buy treats and trips out from their all-inclusive hotel. Let's assume that our family of four decided in 2016 that they would bring or allot £1,000 of spending money either in cash or through their credit card. The fall in the pound means that they should logically cater for the fact that their money will buy less in their chosen destination, meaning that they should add 20% to their calculations, so that they will have to find, in other words, an extra £200, meaning that their spending money will need to rise to £1,200. But I would go further and also suggest that they need to think about the potential for inflation in their destination, not unrealistic in the circumstances. I would factor in an extra 5% to account for this potential, meaning that our family would need to find another £60, meaning that they should carry with them £1,260 for holiday spenders. Then there is the issue with travel insurance. This is because come the 1st of January 2021, the European Health Insurance Card will no longer be available to UK citizens, and the signs are that there will be no reciprocal agreement made for travelling health payments. Travel insurance will be interesting to watch. I predict that we shall see two things happen. Firstly, an increase in premiums, maybe not at first, but as we go through 2021 and into 2022, probably rising by about 10%. But the important issue, in my opinion, may come through changes to the excess you may have to pay. It is entirely possible that you may be required to pay 10 or 20% of a medical bill out of your own pocket before the insurance company will pay the rest. Let's assume that our family of four were buying an annual policy of £100 in 2016. This would mean that the cost for the same policy would increase by £10, meaning that the same policy would now cost £110. But the really important issue is, what would an excess cost to the family if one of them became seriously ill? If this is how the market is going to go, then calculating an excess, we should consider the average cost of medical treatment could be around €6,000. If we then assume that the excess is set at, say, 15% of the cost of the medical bill, this would mean that our family would have to pay €900 at the hospital or medical centre before the insurance company would pay the rest. There are those listening who might say, well, I'll cut my costs by not having travel insurance. Oh, be sensible. You would then have to pay the €6,000, and if there were repatriation costs, you would have to pay those, meaning you could be many thousands of pounds out of pocket. You really have no logical choice but to protect yourself and your family by taking out comprehensive travel insurance. Our family would also lose their rights to watch their favourite films through their subscription service. That's your geolocating rights applied to services when you travel within the EU. In addition, it looks like our family won't be able to rely on roaming and may face extra charges for using internet texting or making calls from their mobile. Let's conservatively call that £50 extra for their 2-week holiday. So by my reckoning, our family of 4 are going to have to budget an extra £840 on top of the original cost of the holiday, spending money and travel insurance. And heaven forbid that one of them should become ill and are faced with an excess to add to their burdens. The issues of finance almost pale into significance the real prospect that they will face as airport border entry queues with their young children, unless of course they pay extra for fast lane passage. Whereas once before our family enjoyed being able to bring back virtually unlimited drink and other products, having paid their local taxes, they are now facing the possibility of the return of duty-free limits, operating both ways, with the consequent tax on any excess they may carry. And on top of this, there is COVID and a vaccine, and I have no doubt the UK government will look to the private sector to deliver inoculations, quite possibly at a price to the UK holidaymaker. If you think I'm wrong, who do you think pays for the testing now being carried out at UK airports? Here's a clue. It's not the taxpayer. Who said travel was easy? These are the issues that face ordinary families right now throughout the land, and yet media dialogue is sparse, uninformed, and fails to concentrate on the things that matter to ordinary consumers. It may be that consumers are exhausted or fatigued by everything that has happened since 2016, but in all honesty, consumers need to wise up and recognise that these important issues affect not just how they live their lives, but how it will affect their pockets. I for one look forward to the return to normal, but I think that a great many people do not yet realise that the normal of the future is not that of the past. We are all on an important journey, and we haven't even left the comfort of our own homes yet. Until the next time, take care.
Da da dum da dum da da dum da dum da da dum da dum da da